Let's make juicy AF Xianbing on page 181 in my cookbook, Indulgent Eats at Home. Oh, look at all the juices that came out of there. Oh, look at how juicy. If you want all the measurements and techniques, make sure you pick up a copy of my cookbook for the recipe.
My son admires in you.
So here we have our aspic. What you want to do is you want to gently scrape off the chicken fat, also known as schmaltz. This chicken fat, you can store it inside an airtight container. Use it in fried rice, you can use it to flavor your vegetables. It's also amazing in lieu of butter if you want to make like a grilled cheese or toast your Reuben sandwich. This schmaltz or chicken fat is incredible for that, so save this. And plop it onto your cutting board. Oh, lost a piece. You want to cut it up into teeny pieces. When you cook your buns, this will melt into that soup that oozes out of your xianbing. So here you have your cubes of aspic. So this is actually very similar to how you make soup dumplings or xiaolongbao. The way they make xiaolongbao is that they mix all of this into the meat and kind of evenly disperse it into your filling mixture. What I like to do instead is I like to make sure that every single bun gets an equal amount of gelatin, just because, I don't know, I feel like I made it once before, and even when you mix it all together, it could still, some pieces could still maybe get a little more. And so what I like to do is actually just divide the mixture into little piles that I can then add later. Take a look at this nice smooth ball. So I like to weigh out the dough, but if you using a kitchen scale, that way you can make sure each one has the same amount of dough. But if you don't have a kitchen scale, what you can do is eyeball it. So what you want to do is take your ball and make a hole in the center to form like a donut, and then start stretching it out into a ring. You want to make it as even as possible. So try and get it like a nice even thickness. Then once you have that, you can put it down your cutting board. Take your bench scraper or a knife and cut it in half. Now you have 2 long logs. So I'm gonna keep the dough that I'm not using inside my bowl. That way it doesn't dry out. So you want it so that the part where you cut it, the flat edge, is facing up, and you can just use your palm to start to press it into a circle. If you don't have a wooden dowel, you can use a rolling pin, or I like to just use a soda water can. Just make sure you wash it and dry it, and it's just a little bit easier to maneuver. So you want to work from the inside outward, making the dough as thin as possible on the edges. This takes some practice. I'm still not a pro at it, even though I've made these so many times. But what matters is just getting it as circular as you can. I'm gonna add some of my aspic. If you're just starting out, you don't want to overfill these. This is actually the same pleat as a xiaolongbao and also a momo. So take the edge and pinch it in onto itself. Just fold in and pinch. In and pinch. Let me turn this so you can see it. Twist it closed.
Not bad. Yeah.
Now you want to cook it with the seam side down. And really press it into your oil. Be very gentle when you flip. Oh, gorgeous. Again, make sure you get it in all that oil. Wow. To get the sides of the buns cooked, you can briefly cover them. Check out the bottom. Ooh, boom. Just so beautiful. Oh. My Xianbing recipe is actually based on a local institution here in Hong Kong called Islam Food, where they serve these northern Chinese meat pies, also known as Xianbing. It's a super heavily seasoned meat pie. At Islam Food, they make them with beef, and that's how I have it in the cookbook. But you can also use Impossible, and that's the way I've made them here. Because there's so much seasoning, you really can't tell that it's Impossible. So I definitely recommend switching it out and trying it with Impossible instead of ground beef to reduce your meat consumption. It's been a while since I've made these, so I didn't get the wrappers quite as thin as I usually do, but I'm still very happy with the taste. They're crispy on the outside. The wrapper itself is nice and chewy. It's like a very satisfying texture. The meat filling is just so freaking flavorful. And of course you have all of those juices, like, you can see it. Let's bite into it. You can hear it like squelching. Oh, it's dripping. Oh my god, they're so flavorful. These are just so good. Now I mentioned that I haven't made these in a while, and so I think my hands were like too oily and I kind of like didn't seal it properly. I pan fried these like a dumpling, so I cooked them in the oil until the bottom got crispy, and then I added some water, and then I closed the lid and let the top steam. So that's what this is. So let's try it. Just in case you run into the same issue, you have a few that don't seal all the way, you can always rectify it. And you hear that? It's kind of like a giant dumpling. The top of the skin is super chewy. The bottom is still really crispy. Like, you can hear it. Let's see the juices. Oh, look at it. So some of the juice definitely probably evaporated since there was a hole in the top, but you can see that it's still like dripping. Came through dripping. Look at that. Oh my god. Yum. It's chicken collagen. Oh, so good. It gives you that like sticky mouthfeel. So yeah, if you can't get any of the tops of them closed, just make a giant pan-fried dumpling. It's the same technique I have for the other dumplings in my cookbook, like the gyoza. So this is just one of many dumplings in the cookbook, so I hope you give it a try. I'm gonna go ahead and make a classic dumpling sauce. Xinjiang Chinese black vinegar. I have a Sichuan chili crisp recipe in my cookbook, but for now I'm going to use Fly by Jing, which is my favorite Sichuan chili crisp oil. Some of that, as well as their zhong sauce. This is kind of like an all-purpose sauce they have. It's incredible with dumplings. It was originally meant to be a dumpling sauce, but then they figured out that it tastes good with so many other things. It's got so much depth of flavor, a little bit of sweetness, and some heat, and all of that together will just be so good. So, gonna do a little, gonna do a big dunk. Got our giant dumpling. Take a bite. They're honestly so good on their own, but if you want a little bit of acidity to cut the richness of it, the black vinegar is just perfect. Thanks for watching, and make sure to hit like and subscribe. See ya!